And Franjez is your first name, like full first name?
I made it up.
Okay.
It's a mix of my first and last name.
Gotcha. Right on, right on. Can't go wrong with that natural combiningness right there.
100%.
Hell yeah.
Talk about it with Franjez. Today's special guest is a singer, a songwriter, and a guitarist from Carlstadt, New Jersey. Today's guest is Dippy The Lad.
Franjez, thank you so much for having me, man.
Thank you for coming all this way.
Absolutely. I mean, how could I not? You know what I mean? It's just like, this is the place to be. I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it, too. How long is the commute?
It's about like 45 minutes, actually. Yeah,
Not too
yeah.
bad.
Yeah, traffic is, not too bad on a, rainy day like this. So that was always nice. And, Waze just gets you to where you need to be. So I'm thankful for that as well.
Waze.
Shout out to Waze. Possible sponsor? I don't know.
What do you like about Waze, let's say, compared to Google?
Because you can see where the cops are. That's the main thing, honestly. Yeah, that's what my
Nice.
dad has always said. They'll let you know when there's, people hiding out there trying to get you with the speeding guns or whatever the heck those things are that detect speed. So, those really help in a lot of different situations. So,
Nice.
shout out to Waze.
Shout out. Very nice. Let's start from the beginning. Where were you born?
I was born in Maryland. Specifically Davidsonville. It's a small suburb that's got a nice mix of farm life as well as cul-de-sac. So nice area to have a family at, I would say.
Nice. How long were you there?
There for probably about 20 years or so. Yeah, good amount of time. I eventually moved to Baltimore with my wife to be up there while I was going to college. I went to Towson University. We were up there for 3 years, I think, and then we made the move to New Jersey in 2020 to be closer to her family, as well as just try a different state. And being so close to New York, it obviously brings a lot of opportunities for musicians like us.
Absolutely. Like us. She makes music also?
She does, yes.
Nice.
That is Leah B. You can find her on all streaming platforms. She is totally self-produced, and she's taught me a lot about, self-producing as well. I use a lot of, GarageBand, and nowadays with the Dippy The Lad project, I really make, most of the music by myself. I'm arranging everything, the lyrics, the, guitar parts. I use the bass and drums on GarageBand right now. I know Logic is much more of a favorite thing for a lot of musicians, it seems like, but GarageBand has been really good to me, and Leah has definitely taught me a lot about that. I use her equipment half the time, honestly, so she just is such an inspiration to me, and it just helps to have a person so close to you that shares so many different goals and dreams and stuff like that. So I'm nothing without my wife, pretty much.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
That's really what it is, man.
And how do you spell her name so people can search it?
It's Leah B with a dot at the end. That's a very important distinction. So yes, Leah B on all streaming platforms.
Leah?
Lea, actually. Yes, that is another important factor. Lea and then B with a dot at the end.
Okay, so one word.
No, 2 words. Yes,
Okay.
that is also another important distinction.
That's all I want to make sure.
Yes, so 2
Nowadays,
words.
Nowadays, it matters.
Absolutely. Yes, it all matters. So yes, Lea space B dot at the end.
All right, perfect.
She'll kill me if I don't get that right. That's for sure.
That's what I want to make sure.
I will not hear the end of it.
Nowadays, artists are putting their names together.
That is so true.
Just to be that unique. So I know every character matters.
Oh, no, yes, absolutely. And that's why I went with Dippy the Lad for my name personally, just because my last name is just a long Italian name that nobody knows how to pronounce. So, having something easy like Dippy the Lad with spaces in between just kind of, I think, calls back to the classic ways that bands would kind of, have their names, Bad Company, the Ramones, those kind of spaces, matter. And it just kind of shows my influence, I think. And it's also easier for the listener to, look me up, I think. And Leah.
It is. So what is Dippy the Lad? Explain the whole name.
Yes, so that was a nickname that was given to me at a high school party. My first name is Nick, so growing up, I've just always had friend groups with a lot of Nicks in them. Even when I went to school, I'd have classrooms with so many Nicks, and it just seems like the name Nick just follows me around so much that I just really wanted something to part myself apart from a lot of other folks. So one day I was at a party and we were getting crazy, and one of my friends was trying to get my attention, and he said, "Hey, Nick," and obviously 10 dudes turned their head, and you can't figure out who you're talking to, and then he was like, "No, I'm talking to Dippy the Lad," and he like pointed at me, and it was just such a natural, weird moment that like you never would think like those kind of words come together, but I was like, wow, that really like stuck with me, and it was a way to point myself out in a crowd. So I was just like, wow, that's really interesting. And he did get that from like my last name, which is a long Italian name that again nobody can really pronounce or spell right. So the Dippy the Lad just kind of came like out of a natural, goofy kind of moment at a party. And I love those kind of like the stories too. You know what I mean? It really speaks to me, I think, as a person too. I've always been one to be looking on the brighter side of life, as well as just try not to take things too seriously, and keep that childlike wonder. And I think the Dippy the Lad name definitely has a little bit of that in there. So just gets people a little bit of an idea of who I am as a person too.
Absolutely. So what's your last name?
My last name is DiPietro. Okay, so I don't know if you want to take a stab at spelling it right
now. No.
I
just wanted to see where he got Dippy, but I see
absolutely,
right at the
yeah. It's the first kind of like certain letters of it, I guess, just kind of like broken down a little bit more. So just Dippy the Lad is a nice little way to keep my family name in there in some way, but just an abbreviated kind of way.
I love it. Very nice. So tell us about childhood. What kind of kid were you? What were you into?
I would say I was always more of an artsy kind of kid. Before I really got into music, I was really into cartoons, everything from like Looney Tunes to anime. I've just always been, gravitated towards that. That's why I spent a lot of time in front of the screen, and that's why I wear glasses right now. So, that just kind of, that explains a lot, I think. From there, I just, have always been obsessed with that, and I got into comic books because of that. And before, I was really into music, I started to try to make my own comics too. Like I would try to copy, the way that the boxes were and put like the characters in there, the speech bubbles and all that sort of stuff. So I was really just always into art, always into, creative stuff, public speaking. And eventually I, found myself in the theater department doing some plays.
Let's stick to the kid though.
Understandable. Yes.
Yeah, I want to see how you became who you became now.
I got you.
So childhood, you're drawing comic books.
Yeah, for the most part, just trying to come up with like different concepts and copy a lot of the other comic books that I grew up with, and just trying to be creative that way. And I just always was around it, so I wanted to kind of draw like that, pretty much.
Nice. Well, anything else you were into besides drawing and comic books?
Video games, a lot of Nintendo. So I'm a big Super Mario fan, as well as some Sega too. So Sonic the Hedgehog also played a big role in my childhood.
Which Nintendos did you have?
I would say, I had, what did I have? I had a Nintendo, 64, I think is what it was. Yeah, had that growing up. Had some cartridges of like Pac-Man and stuff like that. So had that growing up. I also had like a PlayStation too. Okay. So I would like dip in and out of like some games from that. But Xbox, I remember a lot of the Sonic games came under, as well as GameCube. So I had a lot of that around the house, just playing with different friends. And then close to like the Christmas of middle school, that video game Rock Band came out. That was like with the drum set, as well as other stuff like that. A little bit of an offspring from Guitar Hero, so that was obviously another game that I was really into. And that's what got me really introduced to like the idea of like singing and having fun with a band. And really made an impression on me, I would say.
Nice. So what's the next step after that?
The next step, well, it was funny enough. One day I was playing with my buddy, and we were playing the song Detroit Rock City by Kiss. And I was just being a goofball on the mic. I don't know if you ever seen the movie School of Rock.
Absolutely.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time. So I was trying to be like a Dewey Finn kind of character, like doing the power slides and, jumping off couches and trying to make my friends laugh more than anything, while also singing. So I remember after we played it, one of my friends looked at me and was like, if we ever start a band, you're going to be our lead singer. And then I said, well, I better learn how to sing, I guess, because I did not know how to sing. Again, I was just trying to make my friends laugh and just, be a goofball. So from that point on, I was like, wow, I guess I just better learn how to sing. And we never formed a band, funny enough, too. So that was kind of all for like nothing, but also something. So pretty interesting, impact on my life for sure.
Nice. All right, so we're up to around junior high school, and
Yes.
you find out you have this voice. What's the next move after that?
After that, I tried to, just learn how to sing. Honestly, I took to a lot of, like I said, we were playing the song Detroit Rock City, so I naturally gravitated toward the band Kiss, and I just got obsessed with, finding everything about them and how they, do their show and how they operate as like, singers and songwriters. I went to, some trial and error, like, vocal lessons here and there, but eventually there was this show in the theater department of my high school that was called the Rock and Soul Review, and it was basically like a review show, REVUE, and they just did tributes to classic rock and soul songs from like the 60s to like the 70s. So I thought that sounded really cool. It was weird because it was theater and I wasn't really trying to be an actor or anything like that. But it was, resonating with the music I was listening to, which was, that classic rock from like the 60s and onward. So I auditioned. They told us we could do 2 songs, and I chose We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister and Let It Be by the Beatles.
Nice.
So obviously 2 different songs. I just wanted to showcase as much range as possible with, the little training that I did have.
What was the training you had?
I had-
Self-taught, or did you actually have lessons?
I had like self-taught a little bit. What I call self-taught is I was listening to Iron Maiden albums and trying to listen and trying to sing like Bruce Dickinson. You know what I mean? Like get that like vibrato that he does. Because I felt like that was like the key. You know what I mean? So many crazy singers have such great vibrato, like that trembling that like also sounds like very powerful. So I really just kind of tried to like emulate and like copy people that I listened to for the most part. And then my mom would take me to like different, like I think there was like a school of rock that I went to at one point. They have like, their own like corporation that like, does like practices for bands and stuff like that. So I tried that. I learned like some like breathing exercises, but I just didn't, catch a vibe with the guy, I feel like. And when I did the audition for the theater, show, the theater director, he took me to the piano and he went over Let It Be with me. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like he's giving me a little extra attention. Maybe I did really well. But later I found out that he just wanted to know if I was able to sing on key, because I was not very much on key for the audition. So he was like, can you match this note like that? And I was like, and he was like, okay, so there's something here. So thankfully he took a chance on me, and I was surrounded by a lot of other singers who were like a lot more talented and had like theater experience. Like they were like, singing since they were like a little kid, whereas I was getting into it in like my teens pretty much. Yeah. So I've always felt like that's kind of hindered my, abilities, because I just didn't start training when I was like, so young, but it is what it is. And I was able to just learn from a lot of people who were just, really awesome singers. And again, try to pick up lessons from them, but also hear what they were doing, being like, all right, let me try to copy that and make it in my own way. And eventually I did. So it was, just really experiencing and learning from like, all the professionals that I was around in high school, really.
Nice. As a kid in the household, what was the music played, and what was the food being cooked?
Oh, I love that question. That's a really nice question right there. So food, primarily like Italian food, I would say. My family's a, pretty big Italian family primarily. So my mom was always the chef of the household. She was making, stuffed shells, spaghetti and meatballs. She has killer recipes for stromboli and homemade pizza. So she was making like the bread in like the bread maker and stuff like that. And like, so you can't beat that. It was really awesome. And she's also very health conscious. So she put us on to a lot of like salmon and like chicken and rice, and how that is, can be made into so many different dishes too. A lot of like home cooking like that, as well as, we're from Maryland, so seafood was a big thing, having like, big crab dinners for, the weekends and stuff like that in the summer, which I'm really missing right now, honestly. I would love to crack open a crab right now, honestly, with the whole like, hammer and stuff like that. So obviously that played a big role in it too. Primarily Italian food. food and just like a lot of home cooking in general. And as far as music being played, my mom was really big into NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. Justin Timberlake's one of her favorite artists, so naturally he's one of my favorite artists too. A lot of melodic stuff like that, pop radio stuff. And my dad would always play like classic rock. He's always been a big Sirius XM guy, Pandora guy, finding like the classic rock stations there and just playing like the Eagles, Led Zeppelin, Queen, all those kind of like classic bands. So a lot of classic rock as well as like pop rock. And I'd say that really reflects in my music too, because I really rely on melodies and making sure that people can, sing along to everything, can sing along to the chorus, the guitar parts, the bass, whatever it is. I just want it to be, as melodic as possible, because I feel like that's very powerful in songwriting.
Absolutely. I like that. Do you remember the first piece of music you ever either downloaded or bought for yourself?
Bought for myself, I would probably say it was probably a bunch of Kiss songs, honestly, online, like on iTunes. Like when like iTunes was really getting started, my dad got all of my, because I'm the oldest of three kids. I got a younger sister and a younger brother. So he got us all iPods at one point, and I remember just going to him constantly just with my like dollar of quarters, because everything was like 25 cents a song. And I was like, hey, can I download this one? And he was like, okay, all right. And I would like, try to, I'd say that was probably my first experience with it. But I remember the first albums that I ever got, oddly enough, were from my uncle. He gave me 3 CDs that I think really stuck with me. It was Nimrod by Green Day. It was All the Right Reasons by Nickelback with the car in the front and stuff like that, and Under the Cork Tree by Fall Out Boy.
Nice.
So those are like 3 albums that like were in my CD collection at first. And I remember I had like before the iPod an MP3 player, and I would just wear those albums out. Under the Cork Tree couldn't spin after a certain point and stuff like that. So those albums were just really big for me too as well.
Nice. What did you want to be when you were a kid? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Originally, a graphic novelist. Like I said, I was really into drawing, and I really looked up to, all the manga, I think is what it's called, the animes that are in the cartoons. I was just really big into that, and just drawing in general. I always wanted to do something artistic. I had my fair share of sports when I was like, a little kid, experimenting with like soccer and baseball, but those just didn't really stick with me. Watching football is, fun, but it's just not something that like I'm like extremely gravitated towards, and as opposed to like plays and all sorts of like other like cool like creative stuff. I've always been really drawn to that more than anything. So I would say like if I wasn't doing this, I'd really try to be more of like a graphic novelist, if anything.
Nice. If you could explain your hometown, how would you explain it? What type of place is it?
Wow, that's a really good question. I would say serene comes to mind. I just remember taking a lot of long drives, especially we grew up, like I said, there was a lot of like cul-de-sacs, so you had that. I was able to skateboard and rollerblade as well, so taking in all that scenic surroundings from the neighborhood was always nice, as well as the farmland kind of stuff. When you go out, there's minute long drives that you can take of just openness and
Wow.
really really nice sunsets too. So serene comes to mind. Community as well. I mean, I would say there was a big, strong hold of trying to make sure everybody was all good. For holidays, for Halloween, I remember we had parades all the time, and
Nice.
People would go out of their way to make sure their cul-de-sacs had something to do, and every part of the neighborhood was really enjoying themselves too. So I would just say it was a really serene kind of area to grow up in. It was really fortunate, I would say, for us.
Anything in town that had to do with music, events wise or anything?
Mostly the city of Annapolis. That's about 15 minutes away, and that's where I really cut my teeth in a lot of younger bands that I was in, both originals and cover bands, playing different bars and restaurants and different showcases. They just really, the city of Annapolis in particular has always been very artist friendly. There's a bunch of murals everywhere. There's so many small businesses and photographers and videographers and just musicians as well. And there's so many different places for them to go. And a lot of it is made up of community members too. Artists are also putting themselves out there and giving other artists platforms, because it's a very
Really?
do it yourself kind of like mentality. I would say there's a lot of like very strong people that make up that community, and just a lot of forward thinkers that are very supportive, and I feel like that was really crucial for me growing up, because it really taught me how to like respect others, and just reach out when other people are trying to get stuff going. I saw your podcast online and I thought it was really awesome, and I just wanted to be a guest on it, you know what I mean, because I understand how important that is, for people to just talk a little bit and connect, and just show that what they're doing is dope. I think that's really cool, and Annapolis definitely taught me that with all the people that were in it and are still in it.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So let's get back to that event. Was it a talent show?
The theater production that I was in. Yeah, that was the Rock and Soul Review. Yeah.
So how'd that go?
That was actually surprisingly cool. I learned a lot through it. I actually really got a sense of like stage presence from there. It was my first time really interacting with the crowd, and actually led to my first band that I was ever in. The backing band of the show was looking for a lead singer of this Battle of the Bands that they were doing in high school, and we were playing some songs that I was doing. I got to sing for that show Sunshine of Your Love by Cream, as well as Roadhouse Blues by The Doors. So those are two songs that just were really easy to pick up on. They weren't like I Will Always Love You, what I'm saying, like they weren't like anything like astronomical for vocals. So it was a really cool way to kind of learn how to sing, but also have like a good ease into it, if anything. So yeah, it was really awesome, and I really just learned so much about performing, and I got a lot of opportunities out of it too. So I feel like it was something that I never expected would really make so much of an impact. And again, the theater aspect was really scary, because I also had to learn how to dance. So I did some dancing in that as well. They made it very clear, like you get your lead songs, but you do have to do some backup stuff too. So I did some background vocals as well for some songs, and there was also some moves I had to learn, and those were very interesting times. And I did that show, like they made it a regular thing, so I did it like every year until I graduated high school too.
Wow.
So yeah, it was really awesome to just like keep that tradition, and also teach other folks who were like getting into it as well. It was a really cool thing to be a part of at such a young age.
Nice. What else were you into during high school? Either in school or even like outside of school? Is it still video games and drawing, and now you're incorporating music?
Yeah, absolutely. Once music got into my life, I really got obsessed with that too. I was really big into like biographies and documentaries specifically. I would just like pick up whatever thing I could read about bands, the Dirt, Motley Crue, stuff like that, just to know what they went through, and to kind of learn and expect what could lead down this musical journey. It was one thing to see the shows and to listen to the music, but I wanted to also learn how people got to that point. So I just became obsessed with that, as well as balancing my time with everything in front of the screen, but be it TV, video games, drawing. I started to get a little less into drawing when I was more into music, so naturally that just became my main thing for a little bit.
What do you think was your biggest takeaway from these documentaries and biographies of artists, and how you were learning about the lifestyle?
I would say that it's just a lot of work. You know what I mean? A lot of people have a lot of different stories. There are people like Justin Bieber who get, that kind of fame at a young age, or there's people like Rodney Dangerfield who get it like as they're like, getting gray in the hair. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different ways that it can go, but it's all about being persistent and just, really putting in the effort, and also being a good person as well. You know what I mean? It's some of these documentaries can be brutal. The Eagles documentary, I don't know if you've ever seen that, but that's like it's a very long documentary, and a lot of you can tell there's a lot of separate interviews going on, because some comments are kind of made that make it seem like there's some friction between some certain members. So yeah, that was also something to expect too. But yeah, more than anything, it was just making sure that you're heard and you're seen, and having that persistency, because there's going to be a lot of doubters along the way, and a lot of people that think maybe you should consider a plan B. But it's just about pushing through that and believing in yourself, and that was a big thing for me in my music then, and still to this day.
Nice, nice. So you graduate high school?
Yes, yeah, graduated high school. I didn't want to go to college at first, but my mom was not about that. She was like, you got to have something. So, I was able to, thankfully go to community college for a little bit. And while I was doing that, I was also in a cover band that would play like, a lot of summers for, a good amount of time. That was like my main source of income for like myself while I was, still staying at home was like, playing out with, a buddy of mine and his dad. They had a band and they would play so many different bars and restaurants. I got to experience so many different crowds, from the dive bars to the really nice fancy weddings sometimes we would play.
Really?
So yeah, I got to really know a lot of different ways to perform and really know how to read a room. I think that's really important too, because there are some times where you could be a little bit more aggressive to certain performances, and I think you really have to be like adaptable and just really know what you're getting yourself into and prepare as much as you can. You book the show, you look it up, you see what you're dealing with, you hear from the promoter what they want you to do and stuff like that, and you just kind of go by that. And also people asking for requests, you know what I mean? Turning down Freebird in a very polite way, and stuff like that. You deal with so many different scenarios, and I was really thankful to have that while I was going to community college for communications.
Communications.
I eventually found out that I just love talking to people. That's why, stuff like this is always so exciting. Again, I appreciate you having me on here for this.
I appreciate you coming all this way.
It's
been
dude.
an amazing conversation so far.
I appreciate that. No, that's really what I learned was something that was so crucial in life, is just being able to have conversations with folks and being able to know how to approach any kind of situation. I feel like when you learn how to properly communicate and how you learn how to tailor that to different scenarios and experiences, it just helps unlock so many doors. And there's certainly different ways to be successful in life, but I just feel like the way that I can approach myself to people and talk to people has always been a strong suit for me. And I know some people don't enjoy public speaking. A lot of people can be shy like that, but I just tried to throw myself into the pool and learn how to swim, and I've learned how to swim with my mouth. I guess that doesn't really make sense, but I did graduate, so there's that.
Good. You graduated college?
I did, yes.
Okay,
I graduated college
good.
during the pandemic, so it was a crazy time. I still can't believe I did it. You know what I mean? It was just especially it was also the pandemic, so it was like doing that remote too was also another layer to it, but thankfully I was able to learn a lot, and it's all led me to being in front of you today, I feel like, and everything else that's been in my life. So it's it's something that really worked out for me. I'm thankful.
You made mom proud.
Absolutely. Yes. That's what matters at the end of the day. You know what I mean? That's really what it is.
It was for her.
It is. It really is for her, and for my dad too. I mean, they just have always really instilled a work ethic in me to really make your dreams come true. You know what I mean? Anything that you want to do, you can make happen. You just got to put action towards it. You know what I mean? You can't just talk the talk. You got to walk the walk, and you can always make yourself happy in this life. You just got to figure out what path you want to take, and I eventually found it, and there's always going to be uncertainties. You never know where you're going to end up, but I think if you're having a good time doing it and you're learning stuff that you actually enjoy, then that makes the journey a lot easier.
Absolutely. What religion did your family practice when you were a kid?
Catholic.
Nice.
Yep. Going to church on Sundays, CCD, Sunday school, all that kind of stuff. So I've always felt like God also has a lot to do with the successes that we have, and lately I've really been taking the phrase seriously that goes, God doesn't put any challenges on us that we can't handle. I really believe that, because I've always had challenges in my life and will always have them, and I feel like you can always make your way through, and I think he's a big part of it, and he's a big reminder that anything is possible, and you can really make it through the darkest days by just having faith.
Nice. Where in the timeline did you meet your wife?
That was around like 2013, I would say. Yeah, we met on Vine, actually. The app Vine.
way.
Yeah, it was really wild, man. Yeah. We met. She found my profile, I think, because I was, doing videos and trying to, get my music out there that way. And she was also, kind of doing that too. And we met each other. We, started DMing each other, and we found out that we weren't catfishing each other. So that was really nice. Because that was a big. That was when Catfish the show was really premiering. You know what I mean? So
good show.
there was that. It's a great show, but I mean that just really made you wonder back then with any online dating. So thankfully we were able to meet eventually in 2016, I believe. She played a show at the Stone Pony, actually, in Asbury Park, which is a legendary venue. It was a really awesome time, and from there I just thought that this person is just one in a million. There's certain people in life that you're never gonna meet you know what I mean, like they're just one in a million, like I said, and she's definitely that person, and we just got to know each other more, and again, with us both being musicians, it really helps with our goals in life. We're starting to do duo stuff as well.
Nice.
Starting to perform as duos out and about, so that's also something that we're trying to focus on next year, is getting out there and just being able to play together. I've always wanted to have my own success as a musician, but also to share that with the person that you love is just the bee's knees. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's no better way to do it.
Absolutely. Yes. She's my favorite person to be around. So to be around her more in that way is just another thing too. It helps, and it's also really cool to see people react like that. We're both I feel like we're both really good musicians, and when two really good musicians together, it's a great show. So I'm just glad to have someone like that in my life. As a forever partner. It's awesome.
Nice. What type of music does she make?
She makes like R&B, kind of like pop music, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. It started off a lot more like electronic, but now she's kind of gotten more into like a singer-songwriter, kind of like piano as well as like guitar playing kind of like stuff. She also plays ukulele. She plays a lot of instruments. It's insane. But definitely at the core, it's more like R&B, pop, singer-songwriter kind of stuff. It's definitely a lot of relatable stuff too. She's a hell of a writer. Her lyrics just always blow my mind. She really knows how to paint a picture, and a relatable picture at that.
Nice.
It's one thing to be a rhyme genius, you know what I mean, but to have like really impactful lyrics is something totally different. It doesn't even have to rhyme all the time, you know what I mean? You can
Absolutely.
really make like some really powerful music without even having a rhyme scheme, and she also practices that from time to time, and she's just showing me that there's so many different ways to do this music thing, and she's an awesome artist to check out for sure.
Nice. Definitely will. What's your writing process?
It's usually me and an acoustic guitar at first. I don't know who coined this phrase, but I've always believed in the phrase that any song that is good electric can be good acoustic. Like when you break it down, when you play it on piano, when you play it on acoustic guitar, when it's just you and the instrument, that's what really matters. So I've always had that sort of style to start off with. I'm not really into pedals. I don't know how a pedal board works and all that sort of like distortion and stuff like that. So a lot of times I will perform just like acoustically, because that's just what comes naturally to me. Could have been from the acoustic guitar lessons I had in high school with those like nylon strings and stuff like that. That's just kind of how I started to play guitar too. So I feel like it's always just kind of been more natural to me. And then I usually just set the vibe with that, and then the lyrics follow with whatever mood I'm in. You know what I mean? If it's a bit of a gloomy song, maybe I'll write some gloomy lyrics, or if it's more of like an upbeat kind of song, I'll try to think of something more upbeat. It's really what the song is calling for, and a lot of like gut instincts too, I'd say. It's just sometimes I'm like, why did I write this line? Like, this doesn't really make sense, but to me, it like is something that I feel makes sense, and that's another thing that takes over a lot in my music. I feel like too, is just feeling. You know what I mean? Like, this may sound like something that I may have heard before, but it's something that feels really connected to me. So it's just about following that too, I'd say.
Who are your top 5 favorite artists?
Top 5, I would say, well, Kiss, because I've talked about them enough already. I would say second would be Fall Out Boy. Like I said, Under the Cork Tree made a big impression on me, and I love their lyrics. Their singer, the band in general is just so tight, I think. 3 is 311. Oddly enough, I just love their variety in their sound. They cover hip hop, metal, reggae, so many different styles, and that's always inspired me to never put too many boundaries up with music. Again, it's that feeling that you want to chase more than anything. So as long as it feels good, finish that song. And then number 4 would be Jimi Hendrix. I have 2 Jimi Hendrix tattoos actually on me. So that's these are actually his designs that he did on some of his guitars. Because he would just in the 60s, take black nail polish, I think, and just write some different scribbles and stuff like that. This one's from his Monterey Jack guitar from the 60s. It's the one that he lit on fire.
Nice.
So if you see that one with him on his knees and he's doing that, that's that. So that was really cool. And this one's his Love Drop Flying V. So I think it's just so cool that not only did he have such an awesome tone and style and voice, and he played with some of the greats like Little Richard and Isley Brothers. He just had such a sense of style, and he was just a creative person, and I think he's just the best guitar player out there because he's influenced so many others. So he's number 4, and then 5 I would say Van Halen, but with Tom Petty as an honorable mention. It's those two have always really stood out to me because I love Tom Petty's songwriting. I think he just has so many classics that a lot of people don't know that are his, Running Down a Dream, Stop Dragging My Heart Around, so many different songs. So he's a great songwriter, but I love Van Halen for their sense of personality, with Eddie Van Halen, the crazy guitar player, David Lee Roth, as well as Sammy Hagar for, 2 powerhouse vocalists. And they write amazing songs too. And David Lee Roth's always been he's Diamond Dave. He's one of those outstanding characters in rock who would do splits and wear these very revealing clothes and stuff like that. So I think they in general taught me a lot about not just songwriting but showmanship as well.
Nice. What's the best case scenario for your music? What's your biggest goal with it?
To provide for my family. That's really the end goal, I would say.
Nice.
And that can mean a lot of different things. That can mean, playing the same pubs and bars for every weekend until I die. You know what I mean? That's not a bad way to live. Or, it can be touring and, playing with really famous artists and stuff like that. But overall, as long as I'm making a living for my family, that's really what matters as I get older more. I have a wife, we want to have a family and stuff like that. So everything that I do right now is just in hopes of, taking this music thing full time and just being able to, just again, provide for my family and make a comfortable living out of, this music thing. It's my favorite thing to do. So if I'm, making money off of it too, it's, it's like my dad said, you'll never work a day in your life if you're happy. So that's really what I'm trying to chase is provide for my family in the most fun way and most rewarding way that I can think of.
Nice. What's 4 weddings in 2024? I read that somewhere. What does that mean?
Oh, yes. So we had 3 different weddings, actually, in 2024. We got married last summer, so we're a year into our marriage, actually. So we celebrated that last month, I believe. So we started off... We wanted to do it at the Bahamas because we've gone to the Bahamas with her family for so many years. It's a very special place to us, and they had a Greek church out there. My wife is Greek, so we wanted to get married in a Greek church and also have a really cool place to get married. So the original plan was to have the small wedding in the Bahamas with immediate family for the religious ceremony, and then we would do a bigger celebration in New Jersey with all of our friends and family on the East Coast and stuff like that can all come there. But we didn't realize that to get married in the Bahamas, you had to be legally married in the United States, apparently. It was a very odd prerequisite that we didn't anticipate. So we got our first ceremony done in June. We did it at the the courthouse in New Jersey. So that was an awesome celebration too. That was primarily her family and my parents on FaceTime. So that was really cool to be able to have that kind of celebration. And then that granted us the access to be able to get married in the Bahamas. So we did that little ceremony with a little bit more family. And then we did the big wedding in New Jersey for everybody to come and stuff like that. It was crazy. I mean, my parents and her parents should be like in the wedding business at this point. You know what I mean? Because her sister also just got married this year too. Like she just got married to a guy named Nick actually as well. So it's the name is just it's a whole other animal. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a lot of great stuff. And just I'm just so accustomed to weddings now. It's really awesome. Hit me up if you need consultation. Hit my parents and my parents-in-law. You know what I mean? They are really the masterminds. So yeah, we're so thankful that it all worked out. I mean, it was 3 perfect events in my opinion. I don't use the word perfect very often. I think it's a very hard word to really describe a lot of things in life. But just being able to celebrate that kind of moment with our favorite people in this world, it really meant so much. And it's really 3 perfect weddings that we had, and that's just something that I will forever be eternally grateful for. We have so many amazing memories to look back on, and so many brows to sweat off. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, whew, everyone's caught up. So it's great, man. It's awesome.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's the best thing in the world. You know what I mean? Love.
Absolutely. All right, 2025, the debut LP, King of Fools.
Yes,
Tell
indeed.
us about this LP.
So this was my first full-length album. I did an EP last year to really get myself accustomed to, putting out music myself. Like I said, I've been in bands my whole life, so to do something on my own was always daunting, but it always, really appealed to me. So for this album, again, it's still me singing all the songs, writing all the lyrics, arranging everything, and it was also my first time mixing too. I wanted to take a step at doing something a little bit more production related, so I was able to do that, and my buddy Luke Turner mastered the whole thing. And the central theme is around the title, really, King of Fools. It's about the life of an artist, and how there are those doubters out there, those people that do suggest maybe you choose a different path in life, and it's just about maybe seeming foolish to some people and maybe seeming like you're delusional, but the way that I see it, it's not only will I succeed, I will stay on this foolish path, and I will be the king of fools. I will be the underdog that makes it. You know what I mean? It's putting that energy out into the universe, because manifesting is also a big thing, I believe. So it's just really an underdog story. I think I've always felt like the little engine that could, you know what I mean? Like I said, I didn't have the formal training growing up, so I feel like that's always been sort of a setback for me, and I've always just really had a mentality of just pushing through, even though I may not be as experienced as somebody. You know what I mean? You can learn a lot in a short amount of time sometimes, or it'll take a long time. It's all sorts of different things, but yeah, it's really just about beating the odds and making sure that you stay persistent and never give up. You know what I mean?
Nice, absolutely. Stockroom Records, how did you hear about that event that you went to?
So that was on Instagram. I was scrolling one day. That's where I find out a lot of different things about shows and the music scenes and stuff like that. And it was just a person rapping. I saw the judges in there, and I thought it looked really cool. And I saw that there was a flyer for the June 20th event. And I've been really trying to get into New York for a while now. Being in New Jersey, it's always been a dream of mine and a goal to break through to the New York and the New York City area. So yeah, I found out about it, and I saw that it wasn't too far away, and I just thought I could really get some cool content out of it more than anything. I mean, you shot it, it looked beautiful. Yeah. So I really just wanted to have another thing to put out there, because I've been really trying to focus on my social media presence this year as well. I feel like that's really big as an artist in anything creative. You know what I mean? To have some sort of social media footprint and have people have things to see you on when you're not in front of them really helps. So I just saw it as a really cool professional opportunity with people who knew what they were doing, and I just learned so many different things through it. I learned about the New York scene in general. It's very eclectic, have a lot of heavy hitters there. Never faced an opera singer. That was insane. I mean, I was blown away by that, man. I mean, it was like a bunch of rappers, singers, I mean, opera saying? Like, I was playing my guitar. Like, it was so wild, and I didn't know what to expect, but you never know. It just, something in me was just like, go at it, try it out and see, you know what I mean? I think it also is like, the fact that there were judges there. Like I said, I grew up with like Battle of the Bands contests too, so I know that can really lead to a lot of like cool opportunities, giveaways and stuff like that. Through that, I got an hour of studio time that I get to use at, Sock Room Records, so that's very beneficial. It's also about, putting yourself out there, getting to know other people, and, the more people that I think the better. And I just saw it as another opportunity to, do that and spread my music across this great world that we got.
That's a great world we got.
Shout out to the world,
Yeah, I like that positivity. You have been so positive.
It's the only way to be. You know what
crazy.
I mean?
It's rare nowadays.
That's what it is, man. I feel like there's a lot of people who aren't, and the way I see it, there's a lot of people that do focus on, the negative and how things are, looking bleak. But I always just try to keep that positive mentality, because without it, I would just be in bed all day. You know what I mean? That's really what it is. It's just, you either face the world with a you can do it attitude, or you shelter yourself from it. And I don't believe in sheltering myself from it. I believe in, also, I feel like this stuff radiates to other folks. You know what I mean? I feel like it also, makes an impact on other folks too. And I've always, with anything that I've wanted to do, whether it's like music, career, I've always wanted to make the biggest positive impact that I can at a time. I just want to make sure that what I'm doing is not only fulfilling to me, but fulfilling to other folks too. And I feel like when I perform, when I write songs, there's a lot of ways and opportunities for people to relate. And maybe, they can see from me that it does get better, because I've had my share of, challenges and stuff like that. And we're always going to have that, but it does get better. And I think that's something that we should put out in the world more so than anything.
I highly agree. Absolutely. Who's the first person you think of when you think of success?
Ooh, I'd probably say my dad. My dad, honestly. Yeah, he really taught me a lot about, being a good person, being a hardworking person. I feel like I got a lot of great things out of my childhood because of him and how hard he worked for, our family to have such a good life. So the way I see it, he has a job that he really likes. He has a family that loves him. He's got money in the bank, and, he's smiling more than he's crying. So to me, that's just what I've been trying to, crack the code of, is like, how you get to that point in life and how I can do it. You know what I mean? Because it's so different. Everybody's got their own personality and their own, goals in life. So it's always been trying to crack the code of like, how my dad got to, be so successful and be able to provide for his family. You know what I mean? Like we've really been able to have a really good life because of, what he's done. And it's just an example of me to, just work hard. And again, you can make it through as long as you, just put action toward your dreams.
Absolutely. What are 3 things you need to be happy?
3 things to be happy. Wow. I'd say music, my wife, and a great view. Like whether it's a sunset, a field, a nice rooftop bar, you know what I mean? Like I love being in the moment and being outside and being able to, just have once in a lifetime, kind of like moments. And I feel like you do that when you go out. So if I can, have that kind of cool vibe with some good music playing and my wife by my side, that's a really perfect scenario right there, I think.
Nice. Sounds beautiful. What's the most exciting thing you ever did?
Most exciting thing I ever did. Wow. There's a few things that come to mind, honestly. I would probably say most exciting. Wow, that's a very, very big thing. I would probably say releasing this album. I would say,
man.
It's really just a combination of a lot of like, thought and a lot of perseverance and stuff like that. And there were moments where I didn't know if I wanted to just trash everything and start from scratch. And, I really just feel very happy that I have the debut album under my belt at this point. And, it's a very big accomplishment for me. It's something that I've had a dream of since I was like, 13 years old. And, I really never thought I'd do it. I think that's really the biggest thing for me is I never thought that I would be putting out an album that was, written by me, guitar, vocals, everything else. So this is really an exciting time for me. I've been able to play a lot of cool shows from it and, be able to, have awesome opportunities like this to promote it and talk about it. So I appreciate you for giving me the time to do that. And
talk about it.
Talk about it with Franjez. That's what we're doing. And I appreciate you for that. This is amazing. So King of Fools, stream it everywhere.
Nice. As you get older, what has become more important and less important?
Money. For both those answers, I think. Yeah.
Nice.
I think, I definitely understand how important money is. I want to, buy a house. I want to, be able to have that, white picket fence kind of like lifestyle. And you do got to make money for that for sure. But I've also, definitely turned down opportunities because it would make me money, but it would sacrifice some, valuable time that I have with like my family or like my friends or something like that. So I understand that, I got to save up and I gotta, make that money for sure, but it's about how I make it nowadays. I'm really trying to focus on that as much as possible. I feel like, again, once in a lifetime moments can happen when you least expect them, and I just don't want to miss those. So I really want to put that in front of, also being, financially responsible and, pleasing Uncle Sam and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? it's that duality of importance, I think, for sure.
Absolutely, it is. What would be the best piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
It'll all work out. That was something that I struggled with as a kid, through like heartbreaks or like failures or, school, career-wise, music, whatever it was. There's, always going to be those unpredictabilities in time. And I'm just such an emotional person. I wear my heart on my sleeve a lot of times. So I can get, into some bad moments and bad mindsets sometimes, but I think what really matters is that it will get better. It's a phrase that we hear a lot, and maybe some people may think it's cheesy, but I think it's really important because there are a lot of people who maybe don't think that way. And it's all about the messages that we put out in the world. Nowadays, we have so many different messages coming at us in so many different ways. So I think the more that you can put out that positivity and think that positive way, eventually, there'll be a lot more of that you see. A lot of, life is what you put out there. If you put something good out there, usually something good will come back. And, it's not even about that at the end of the day. It's just about, being a good person and trying to, be as good to the people around you as possible. That definitely leads to better opportunities and a better life than, the other way around, I think.
Oh, yeah, 100%. If you could have any question answered, and it could be the time and day you're going to die, any question you want, what would you ask?
Did OJ really do it? No, that's not it. No, that's not it. Nah.
Of course he did.
I mean, hey, it's the greatest question of all time, I feel like.
We know he did. We know he did.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, I think... Yeah, let's put that on wax. Let's put that one on there, man. Did it happen? Like, what was it? Only two people really know. Hey, does it all get answered really at the end? You know what I mean? It's all about having a good time, I feel like, more than anything.
Absolutely. If you had one law everyone on Earth had to follow, what would it be?
The golden rule. Treat others as you would like to be treated.
I like it.
I think it's something that we can all understand. I think it's just something that clicks to everybody eventually, and it might take some time to get to a point of mutual understanding and total awareness. But I think that's a very important thing to practice for sure. Just treat others the way you'd like to be treated, and maybe you could see some real change.
Absolutely. Do you have any regrets?
No.
I like that.
It's all lessons learned. That's really what it is, man. It's just such a blessing a lot of times, this life. You know what I mean? Where we're at, it's all just up to the powers that be, I feel like. So every time you fail or you trip or something like that, it's just a lesson learned.
I like it. We're nearing the end of the podcast. If you could please let the people know where they could find you, anything you have coming up you want them to tune into, and any last words.
Okay. My name is Dippy the Lad. Follow me everywhere. I got my music on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. I got some shows coming up in August. I'm going to be playing the local pub in Carlstadt, August 16th. And then I'm going to be playing in New York City for a songwriters round. That's going to be in Midtown Manhattan, I believe. So you can find all that on my Instagram, Dippy the Lad, all one word there, but everywhere else there's spaces between there. So that's where you can find me. And yeah, just never give up. Never give up. It always gets better.
Like that. Thank you very much for the great conversation.
Thank you, Franjez. I appreciate that, man.
My pleasure. And thank you, everybody that watched. Peace and love.